But you know, again, rows and fighting and all was kept at a very minimum. As I say, there was Protestants in the wing there that kept themselves. Catholics there, they kept themselves. You were just one big crowd. Again, you had Republicans, you had non-Republicans, you had Loyalists and you had non-Loyalists. Well, the Nationalist Republicans mostly kept themselves. And we all got wee scales and wee bits of this and wee bits of that. I used to take my visits on a Thursday night, and I used to take great pleasure in the Wednesday night. What we used to do was I had to sit down with the paper. I think it was the Daily Mirror then. It was Sun maybe then, before the Sun went haywire. I refused to read the Sun now. And sitting down with the league tables and sitting down and writing out my football bet from a visit on the Thursday for somebody coming up. And yet I wrote it, the wife often tells me this, I wrote it in the toilet paper. And the toilet paper is not like the toilet paper we use in the house, nice and soft and this, that and the other. It was sheety, it was shiny, it was basically hard, but it's done the trick. But it was great for writing on. And you used to write it in such small writing, fold it up, you had a way of folding it up, putting it together and making a wee, what we would call a wee column about that size. Wrapped it in stretch and seal. Or put it in your mouth, or depending on what size the column was in, whatever orifice was fitted. That's how you got it out. You only went to visits and you passed it down. And if you ever see in any columns out of here, whatever there may be, whatever they're for, you'll see their writing is minute. It's minute. And you used to be sitting. And you get used to writing like that. And even, you're only allowed, say, 1 or 2 letters a week. So you tried to utilise all them lines by writing as small as possible to get as much in as possible. And basically you're only writing about the same thing because it was mundane. You know, you got up in the morning, you went and you got your breakfast, you got wised, you went to VTC, you come back, you got your dinner, you were locked up to 2 o'clock, you went back out again, you went to VTC, you come back, you got your supper, you were locked up, you let out again at 6 or half 6, whatever it may be. If it was winter weather, if it was in the winter, you went to the hobbies or went in and watched the TV. Now, I don't know about you, but nothing is on the TV before 8:30 other than soaps. You know, when you're talking 40 men sitting in the wing looking at EastEnders or whatever it may be, Coronation Street, you know, everything starts after it. So you either went to the hobbies or you sat in somebody's cell, and the screws didn't like you too many sitting in a cell. If they seen 3 or 4 sitting in a cell, they would have come down and got you out and locked the door to make sure. They opened them all out like this here at 6, half 6. Everybody had done whatever it may be, maybe slap out, maybe go to the toilet, maybe get a drink of water, go to a good sit at the canteen, go for the hobbies. But some people just weren't into hobbies. Some people were just into doing their work and that was it. 3 or 4 would have sat there. Out, they had to close that door to make sure that they constituted that as a meeting. Now you could have had the same meeting. There could have been 20 in the canteen, it didn't bother them. But if you had 3 or 4, 3 especially, anything over 3 in the cell, they would have closed it on you. Now, so everybody has their own different way. I was a handicraft man. I like to go in and do that there because I found that killed the time from in there to in here. But other people just couldn't be annoyed. They had to went down and watched TV, played chess, talked. There's only so much you can talk about because everything's speculation. Because you're only talking about outside and you don't know. You don't know. But I can actually hear the doors opening. And the door open. That's just the way it went. Open, open. The whole way up, the whole way down. We used to be able to look out the window, look out the doors, out the cracks. So we did. We used to be able to look down here and see the screw coming. We used to be able to say, burn the air, screw coming, shh. And you'd have heard them squeaky booting with their big boots on them. You could nearly smell them because at night time they were great men for going to the wee local clubs in the place. When you were locked up from half 6 to half 8 or maybe, or no, from half 4 to half 8, something like that. They'd have been away, a few scoops. Suppose you'd done the same yourself, like, but you could have smelled the drink a mile away. Probably because your smell was so acute. You know, you hadn't a big lot of outside smells to compete, but you could have Another thing that they used to do there was, done it there on occasions, when you got a couple of bad screws on, he disrupted the whole routine. As I say, the class officer would have knew who to deal with, how to deal with them, you know, what way to talk to them, what way to approach them. You know, if you come in like a baiting bear, you're going to be attacked back like a baiting bear, whether verbally or physically. So the screw would have knew, he says, right, all you have to do is say, listen, I need that done. The governor's coming in, or blah, 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 whatever it may be, or we'll have to get this done. There's a way of doing things, as you know yourself. And everybody would have worked in tandem. But then you'd have got 2 or 3 screws maybe coming on, the class officer not there that day. Right, get that effing door, close, get in the effing this, the effing that. Next thing was, somebody had walked up with his piss pot filled, and the board, I'm telling you, in the class office, if the screw had been walking about, what you'd done was always done a marker, and it was done like on the shiny surface, over it. Which meant then it all run down and destroyed it. Now, it's easy done again, but it was all worked for the screw. It was the same as these here. What happened was these wee wooden things where all your stuff in it, rip all them up. The screw had to come in, and it was all work. He might have had to stay later to redo all these. He might have had to do these silly things. Or somebody would have stepped out of here, threw an apple up and hit your man on the side of the head that was standing on that wee desk, I'm telling you, up there. Just step back in the cell and he looks down, the wing's empty. Do you know what I mean? Who can he say it was? These are things that the normal screw would have knew how to do without. That's all problems, and he wanted an easy day. He didn't want to be standing here, getting trouble, getting hassled, not knowing anything could have happened. He was quite contented, right? The wings run itself. Now I remember they were getting locked up. What happened was, if you weren't working, this is before I started the VTC, and there was guys in the wing well before me, and you were locked in your cell. So you're sitting there from after you give your breakfast, you're sitting in there. It's a long old morning because there's nothing you can do. So the next thing was, you'd have wrapped the door and said, I need to go to the toilet. Right, screw it, come down, opened the door, locked it back. Right, pull that door behind you. So you went back down, you'd have lifted your mug. You'd have said, any chance of a cup of tea? Up you went with your mug at Dixie. You let on the Dixie wasn't boiling, got you more 5 minutes. So what you'd done was, then you were walking down with your tea. You'd have found then somebody else would have been doing the same. Any chance of going to the toilet here, mate? And, well, the screw was saying to himself, now, they're going up there, they're going to turn round, go back in. They're not going to cause a big lot of hassle. But any different ones coming in would have found that, oh yeah, that's not the way the regime works. They should be locked up from A, B, C. I found that the English ones were a wee bit more straight-laced, and there was no flexibility in them. Now, unfortunately, I think this is what some of our problem was in the north, because, you know, you're sending people over from a different country to try and tell us how to do it and how not to do it. These people were coming from a different jail, different prison regime in England. They're coming to a whole different ball game. And here, well, they couldn't understand how people were sticking together so much. Like, remember, there was groupings, it wasn't individuals, it was mostly groupings. So if there was maybe 6 or 8 or 10 or 12, whatever it may be, Republicans on the wing, if something happened to one of them, you can be sure that there was some sort of reprisal somewhere along the line, whether it be minimal. But the point was, it was kept everybody together, and that's, I don't think they could understand that. I don't think they could grasp that. And I think that's what happened there over the years, that their mindset. I often laugh when you get these new Secretary of States coming over, and what they're going to do for Northern Ireland and what they're not going to do for Northern Ireland is nobody's business. Oh, they think Northern Ireland's the best thing from sliced bread, and it's this and it's that and it's on. 2 years later, they're away back to England. They have no more interest in Northern Ireland than the man on the moon, and have somebody else in who says the same thing. And you're saying to yourself, there's no way that there's anything over here, anything in here, especially in the blacks, can be sorted out if they don't understand, if they're ignorant. Well, I rest my case on that one. These lights in here burned the eyes out of you. Burned the eyes clean out of you. But as I say, the good thing was the switch. The trick was, as I'm saying to you about, if I get her open here, this one might be better for us. The trick was, there's your master switch, right? And you had to have that either on or off for them wee switches in here to work. And this was your night patrol. This was the overall one. He could override this one. So this was the one the screw used, and this is the one we used. What happened was we'd have come in at night. The first thing you'd have done was checked. Right, lock up, 8:25. You don't have anything but lock up. You run about, up and down, hold on, and stole 5 minutes. You come in, the first thing you do is check it. Right, that's it, flan, and you go, close the door, check your light. Yes, it's working, brilliant. That's you flan for the rest of the night. Often, I've run down, forgot clean all about that. Knackered for some unknown reason, whatever I've done. In you go, try to turn the light on early night, try to turn the light off, and you forgot to turn that off. You've effed and you've blamed and you've kicked and you've blankets over the head and you've, I don't know, you went through books. But the screw's favourite there was coming by and banging these out flaps. You didn't even need a radio to tell you the time, because you knew by the screws early checks, or the 2 early checks. Bang, bang, bang. You heard the flaps the whole way up and down. This is what our favourite noise here was. This was the favourite noise here. That's, you felt it the whole way down, you know? Just heard it, boom, 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 boom. And it wouldn't be the first time that somebody was in the middle of doing a mystery parcel that they heard the click, 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 click the whole way down, and I would say panic stations have sat in somewhere along the line, you know. But these wee windies here, you'd have put your orange juice or something on it there to try and keep it cool, but I seen there in summer, sitting in there in summer and melted, totally melted, and in winter freezing, because them pipes are hopeless. There's also, that's a very dark cell. There's also, in here, there's holes. These were set as a unit, had to be lowered down and bolted together. So we found out that if you took these bolts out, hammer these bolts out, there was a hole what went through from that cell to that cell to that cell to that cell. It was handy for putting papers and stuff through. You know, you could have said to a screw there, put it under the door, but you wouldn't put that to cell 6. 8 times out of 10 the screw had no bar, they'd have done it. You always got the undesirable, and he wouldn't have done it. So you could have sent it up round the hole, up that way, you know. It was just another wee way. I was trying to scoot something across with a toothbrush and a button. Tried to get all these wee different things you used to try and do. All these wee things. I remember too coming, we were sitting there, right, we're all going, training was a big thing. We all loved training, we all wanted to do this and to keep ourselves fit. Favourite old thing was a brush pole and your 2 water gallons. 2 water gallons weren't that big. Here's one here. So you had 2 of them filled with water on a brush pole, and it was this was your weights. And press-ups were most people, you had to look through that were press-up, or they were sitting up, or they were, this was all great. Because you only got the gym, if you were lucky, once a week. Or the football again, mostly the football. The football was a case of during the day you'd have got an odd time, but not a great lot. Once a week I would think. But that was what you done. And I remember 5 or 6 of us down one time, we were coming into a good wire, we're getting out at 6:30 or 6, whatever it may be. And we'll do a bit of running around the yard. And it was my first summer in here, because I get sentenced in the winter. It was my first summer in here, and what they said was, right, say Monday night, so shorts on you. Right, bolted out that door. Round the yard, 2 laps, to carry me in there and drill me in. I didn't realise, jog round. I was away like a rabbit out of the traps. It's fit for nothing. But we had long hair all the time, and I'd cut a bit of sheeting to put it round to keep it out of to keep the hair out of my eyes, something like Geronimo. And they seen the state of me coming in, getting into the shower. It took me a week or two to get into the whole rigmarole of it, you know. But just training in the cells were very, 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 very important. It kept the morale up. It kept the own physical stature up. You know. The worst thing of the worst when you're here and then you were told, black move, you had to lift everything. I remember I sat, I was making this doll's house. And the doll's house was made of plywood. It was making it very, very sturdy, so it was not like the ones you buy in the shop that would break very easy. And I sent away to England for to get the wee windows, the wee Georgian windows. We spent about 2 months on this. But it was about this size here, about this size. The back and all come off it, and I had papered the inside of it, and carpeted the inside of it, carpeted the stairs, and all the different rooms, put the windows in. But I had about a week's work left to do on it. And that was the most important part of it, the week. What did they come and tell me? Your whole block, the 2 blocks are getting moved to McGilligan. 2 full blocks of us. Take whatever you need, take whatever you can. Now, not a whole lot, just take the bare minimum. I had to take a bloody big doll's house to go up to McGilligan to finish it, to get it out. But it was that size, and this breadth here, and this breadth. And I'm trying to walk out. Because that was a terrible experience. There was a whimper going about that we were all getting shifted to McGilligan. And there was a guy in our wing who worked in reception. So he was coming up with wee bits of scale that he had heard all during the day. But the screws aren't that green, you know, they're not going to shout out, yes, they're all going in the morning, blah, blah, blah. So the screws, then you were starting to get the blanket screws on. They were getting them shipped out, you see, because into different blocks, because they were due a Hayden over the Haydens that give in the blanket and the protest. So they were getting shipped out to different wings, and one of them ended up here, like Tommy Cooper, just to coin a phrase, and he was coming there, they're all getting shifted, they're all going helicopters and vans up to McGilligan. Well, we didn't know, I was never in McGilligan, I didn't know what it was like. All I heard was, it was all full of non-politicals, and there was no structure, there was no nothing, which when we got up we found out was true, but that's another thing, until we sorted it out. But the whole atmosphere in that particular wing, every morning you were waiting when the screws come in. Right, get your gear packed and away you go. But it eventually did happen, it was 2 full blocks. And it didn't happen during the day, it happened at night. And what they done was they shipped us all into these black Mariahs, handcuffed us, took our stuff away, black Mariahs, blocked off the M2 and took a whole couple of hundred of us the whole way up to McGilligan. But it was a full week of waiting, going, oh no, not today, yes, no, and you're hearing wee bits. And in jail, every little snippet of information, whether true or false, it's blue to the onside. And see, by the time it gets to you and you've passed it on, it's another big blow. But this is the way, as is jail life. Well, this is us. This is the way we used to walk out to the yard. Everything caged in again, everything secure. We had to come down here. The screw would have went in here, locked that door behind him, and walked up and done down that, what would you call it, an airlock. So he could keep constant contact and watch you all the time. Obviously the watchtowers are still there, they can still keep in contact with this particular screw. As it was a good night, he maybe would have had a wee chair there with him. He just would have sat there and watched us. Now at that particular time you must remember that this was only this wing's yard. You couldn't get into the B wing's yard. Later on in years, the airlock in between was opened and you could have walked from A to B. In my time you couldn't do that. Now another thing I wish to point out here is the football nets. As you can see, they're either, what depends who you are, they're either rugby posts or Gaelic posts. I prefer to look at them as Gaelic posts. But when I was here, you weren't allowed to put Gaelic posts up. It had to be soccer. It had to be soccer. So everything was anti-Irish, if that's the right word. Maybe that's too strong a word. too strong words, but Gaelic, anything learning Irish and all, that was all disallowed. Irish books and all, and they weren't allowed in. So the post there came in later years, you were only allowed to play soccer. Many a time there was great matches out here all playing away. Our problem was if it went over this wire, out into the main, you were lucky if you got a screw going by who would have threw it over to you. Over this end wasn't such a problem into the airlock between A and B wing yards. If the ball went over there, which as you know, none of us are professional footballers, and the ball sometimes went over. And what happened was this screw here then would have had to come out here, go in there, get the screw on the wing, to go out to get the screw on the circle, to go out into the airlock, to throw the ball over, to come back out. So it took about 4 screws to get the ball out of one airlock. And as I say, when I say there was no professional footballers, at one stage there was a professional footballer, a semi-professional footballer on the wing, but he used to play for a football team there as well. He was a, what you would call semi-professional or professional. But he didn't kick with our foot. But that was the sort of things that played out there. But sometimes it had wee sports days, or you know, just to pass the time, or good days, good nights you'd lay about. And it was very hard sometimes when you had 3 or 4 fellas out. Just as you know yourself, some people are not interested in sports. Some people are. Well, the people that weren't interested in sports would just lay about. So when you're playing football, it's more rough and tumble than skill. You're actually running in them, and there's a bit of effing and blinding and a bit of heated discussions. But it never really came to anything. Another point that I must make to you too, if you can just watch me here. When you walk out here, the first thing you done, you turned right. You didn't turn anywhere else, you turned right. Because this is the way you walked. You walked this way, right round, and you just kept walking round. And when we were out running, the thing was we were running 13 times to 14 times round this yard was a mile. And that's how you gauged it. But you always come out the one way. You come out this way and you went that way. And as I say, you remember that was blocked off. If you see the remains of the posts there, that gate went right across, and it was the same as that. You had, remember this flower garden in the middle wasn't here at the time, this bit here. So it was completely flat. And I have never, other than on a tour in here, walked from this yard to that yard. That was always blocked off. And we could never see anybody over in that yard, and they couldn't see any of us here. We could have heard them all right, but we couldn't see them. And as I say, the screw either sat there in his wee chair, or either walked up and down. Another thing we did too was 5 or 6 of us would have got together in one of these corners over here and done a wee bit of an Irish class. Because as I say, Irish was taboo. You weren't allowed to do the Irish. You weren't allowed to play the Gaelic. You weren't allowed to do anything along them lines. So that was what we used to do. This here post and all wasn't here. I know it's simple looking, but it wasn't there at the time. It's actually a symbol. Somebody said it was to do with Hill 16 in Croke Park, but I don't know. We had a sat maybe up there, away from the screw, so as he wouldn't hear it. And would have sat, and this time, this boy here probably had no interest. He was getting his overtime. He was happy enough sitting there, get the 2 hours in, whatever it may be, and away. So you get a lot out here from say 6 to 8. You run out at 8 o'clock, that's when you start your pot noodles and your cups of tea, because everybody nearly took a cup of tea in with them, because as I say, a cup of tea, you bought the tea bags out of the shop and stuff, or the tea was in the, we used to send the grain tea, not the tea bags, the packets of tea up along with the urns. And you brought it in, and that was you for the night. It was a big mug, a big plastic mug. And a real favourite, a lot of people say this and a lot of people don't. When you're taking tea, it blackens the inside of your cup, and especially with plastic. So when you clean it, you're actually gouging out a bit of the plastic, which means then it's getting blacker easier. Now I found that the blacker inside, it tasted the tea more. And I wasn't on my own. There was numerous people will tell you to this day that on your, mine was a blue, you had different colours, white and blue and red or something. And just happens to be them colours. I think it was red anyway. And what happened was then, after a period of time, the inside got black. But if you ever notice in the mornings, or if you leave a cup of tea overnight and you just throw it out in the morning, you'll see a ring inside. It's easy wash, you just wash it and it goes away. Plastic, it's not so simple because it gets a bit rougher. you know, and we were using wire wool and everything to clean them. But it was getting black, and so you knew your own cup. Other people religiously cleaned ours left, right and centre. Oh, you cleaned it all right, but you wanted the taste, you know, the stronger, that you couldn't get strong enough tea. Even to this day, I can't get strong enough, warm enough tea. If I get a cup of tea and it's lukewarm, I'll not drink it. Or if there's too much milk in it, I'll not take it. I would take, it doesn't matter, I would take a cup of tea, and if it didn't put sugar in it and didn't put milk in it, it wouldn't bother me. But as long as I can't see through it, you know, that's just the way it was there. It was like tar. You could have set a spoon up in it, but it was lovely. Again, it was lovely. So that was the ticket in here. This is the circle. This is the first place you seen when you come into the block. You either had your PO's office either in there. Welfare, whatever one. Governor, that was the tea hut for the screws. And this is the PO. Wee stores in there, and that was your storeroom. 2 toilets, ladies and gentlemen. Now, gents and ladies, now, when I was here, there was no ladies. But in later years, there was ladies screws or women's screws and women governors. Wasn't here for me. You protest in there, he told you what wing you go to. Go down there, when you come to this door, the screw in the circle lets you in. He lets you in, then you go over here, and what happens was when you go, the screw coming down, there's a screw in between this airlock. He'll open that grill. The screw in here will open that grill. You'll go in. He'll close that behind you. The screw in the airlock will let you through into the longer hall. There's a screw in there will let you then into the smaller hall. There's a screw there who will let you in to another wee airlock, and the screw will let you into the wing. Vice versa when I visit. What will happen is the screw comes in here, calls down Murray for a visit. This screw, with the A and B up here where it says A and B, will then shout down the wing. You'll come up to the grill in the wing, the screw in the airlock will let you out, close the door. This screw in the wee airlock will let you out there. This screw will let you out here, come down. And your screw, standing with your card and book and visiting form, will then take you out here. Screw in the middle there again, let you out, and the screw in the hall let you out. You get into your prison van, blacked out van. In you go, and you go away to the visits. That's why these wee units, blocks, are self-contained. It meant then when you come out of here, you didn't know where you were going. Although all these blocks are the same and exactly the same, you didn't know when you went out that. Once you went out that gate, you very rarely walked. You very rarely went anywhere. We were lucky in H1 and 2, as I say, we walked to the VTC, but it was straight. There was no turns. There was no round corners. So if we had to get out to escaped from H1 or 2, we could have made our way to the VTC, no problem. See, once we got there, we would have been lost. And it was the same where everybody mostly come there, most of the blacks. You know, you would have been disorientated. When we left here, blacked out van, the next thing you knew, you were in the visits. So if you'd have said to me, away and make your own way from the visits to H1 or 2 or 8, the river it may be, I'd have looked at you and went, oh, I would have tried it, but I would have been walking around in circles. There used to be the control room in here. This was the control room. They used to have a grill here and a wooden door behind it. And the fella in here would have had all the technical equipment that looked after the blocks, buzzers and maybe cameras. Different things were all in here. This control room this was. And then in later years what they've done, they blocked that up and they put this one here. But at one stage you could have open the grill like that there and open the door, and your man, that's how you get in and out. Now it's all changed where you have to go in the back there and he deals with everybody through this. Then it wasn't. The screw would have, if he needed to, say a camera sorted out or an intercom or something, your man, this guy in here, this screw in here, would have had their, all the control equipment that controlled everything in the block. That's why that room there would have been the most important room in the block. You know, as I say, and the like of the MO. The only thing with the MOs and all too, you in the morning they come round, you used to open your door at 7:30, whatever it may be. Any requests, yes, a request 2 letters. You had to ask for your letters. You wouldn't give you letters unless you asked them. And what happened was you only allowed 2 letters a week. And the trick was then with the 2 letters, Used to get a razor blade. A lot of people didn't write out, a lot of people did. I'm a prolific writer at the best of times. They used to give me their letters, and I used to get a razor blade. And I was able to take their names and number off, it was done in ink, I was able to take that off with a razor blade and reprint my own name and number on it. My number was something like 521 or something, I think it was 521. And I used to scrape their number and name off it with a razor blade, get the ink off it, and then put my own name on it, which meant then that I had an extra letter, an extra 2 letters a week. But at the same time, you may be asked to see the doctor. So you put the name down, doctor, maybe 2 o'clock or 12 o'clock, can't remember you'd have seen the doctor. And you went, whatever it was. But an old favourite with them was pattiness too, I think, that it was a case of, if you had got sunburned, and you went out to the doctor to get sunburned, they would put you on a charge for the simple reason is they would call that self-inflicted injury. It didn't matter why you were burnt to a crisp. Now, if anybody's ever had sunburn, they know what it's like. So you go out and ask for cameline lotion or whatever it may be. If he sees that, that's classed as self-inflicted injury. You get 3 days in the boards or whatever it may be. Silly things. It's the same as when you're making a bed pack. You know, when you're making a bed pack, what happens is you turn around and there's no rule to say that you have to make a bed pack, right? But the thing is, what they'll do is they'll come in and turn around and tell you, I order you to make a bed pack. And what happens is then, if you say no, they don't do you for not making a bed pack, they'll do you for disobeying an order. You're brought out here, you're into the PO. And if you're on a charge, you go out into here, in to see the governor, and the governor will sentence you to 3 days boards, you know, but with all that, the way you talk about it, you think there was crocodiles down there, you know, oh my God, you're away to the boards. Some of us were glad to get our head shot, you know, but we've all got beatings, we're all worried about that. But the way they talked about it, you're going to the boards, oh my God, you know. But their trick was disobeying an order, and that covered a multitude, because in that time when I was here, they would not let you see the rule book. They told you it was a rule, and they told you it was this, but it was, a rule book was taboo.